Toyota's
General Motors.
Ford company has just launched a new online shop that will thrill car buffs everywhere.
Imagine a world where you can buy a car the same way you'd order a smartphone or even groceries. You scroll through an online showroom, click purchase, and bam, the car arrives at your doorstep. No dealership visit required. Well, Ford, Toyota, and GM have just announced that this isn't just a futuristic dream, it's their new reality. That's right, 3 of the biggest car manufacturers in the world are ditching dealerships altogether and moving to direct-to-consumer sales. No middlemen, no hidden dealership fees, no waiting room coffee, just you, the car, and a streamlined digital buying process. This announcement has sent shockwaves through the auto industry. For over a century, dealerships have been the backbone of car sales. They're more than just showrooms. They're community landmarks, economic anchors, and symbols of American business. Suddenly removing them from the equation is akin to rewiring the entire car industry. This decision is bound to change everything, from how we buy cars to how they're manufactured, maintained, and even perceived by the public. Why now? The rationale behind the shift. Let's talk about the role of dealerships and the legacies of Ford, Toyota, and GM. For decades, these companies have relied on dealerships to deliver their vehicles across every corner of the world. Dealerships are the front line in the auto industry, handling everything from car sales and financing to repairs, parts, and customer service. Ford, Toyota, and GM alone have thousands of dealerships worldwide, employing millions and building relationships within communities. So why would these giants make such a drastic decision to cut ties? The answer isn't simple, but it makes sense when you look at recent trends. First, the direct-to-consumer model has already transformed other industries. Think about Apple or Nike, brands that have thrived by selling directly to consumers through sleek online platforms. Even the tech industry, with companies like Amazon and Google, has set the expectation for simple, seamless transactions without intermediaries. In the auto industry, Tesla was the first to take this leap, selling directly to buyers and bypassing dealerships entirely. Now, it looks like Ford, Toyota, and GM are ready to follow Tesla's lead, hoping to leverage the same benefits of lower costs and better customer relationships that DTC models provide. Financial motivations. At the heart of this decision is finance. Dealerships take a significant cut of each vehicle sale to cover their operating costs, from real estate expenses to employee wages. By selling directly, automakers can eliminate that dealership markup, translating to either more competitive prices for consumers or, more likely, bigger profit margins for the companies themselves. And as the market shifts towards electric vehicles, car makers are looking for every possible way to cut costs. Building and distributing EVs is expensive, requiring new factories, battery plants, and specialized supply chains. By going direct, Ford, Toyota, and GM can reallocate resources that once went to dealerships toward their EV investments. Another financial benefit of cutting out dealerships: simplified logistics. Dealerships operate independently, which means that inventory, pricing, and promotions can vary from one location to the next. Direct sales eliminate these variations, giving the manufacturers complete control over pricing and supply. Ford, Toyota, and GM can then use that control to offer more consistent, predictable prices. No more haggling, no more surprise add-ons, making the buying process smoother for consumers. Not only does this cut administrative costs, but it also aligns with consumers' desire for a more transparent, less stressful purchasing experience. But the perks of this direct-to-consumer revolution don't stop there. Picture yourself browsing through a virtual showroom, exploring a vast array of options, and comparing prices without ever having to set foot in a physical dealership. Today's customers are increasingly comfortable buying big-ticket items online, whether it's furniture, electronics, or appliances. More consumers are willing to make large purchases without stepping foot in a store. Recent studies show that a significant percentage of car buyers now research, select, and even finalize their car purchases online before they ever visit a dealership. Ford, Toyota, and GM have seen these trends firsthand, and by eliminating dealerships, they're meeting customers where they're already heading: online. The new car buying experience. So what exactly does this new direct-to-consumer model mean for buyers? Picture this. Instead of spending hours at a dealership, you'd now be able to complete the car buying process from the comfort of your own home. Online platforms allow you to compare models, customize features, and finalize financing with a few clicks. Ford, Toyota, and GM will likely have virtual showrooms where customers can experience the car interiors, colors, and features through virtual reality or augmented reality technology, making the process as immersive as possible without ever having to leave home. Once you've chosen your model and completed the purchase, the car would be delivered directly to your doorstep. Imagine skipping the dealership handover and having a Ford Mustang or a Toyota Prius delivered right to your driveway, ready to drive. But what about test drives? Well, these companies are already piloting new options, including home test drives, where cars are brought to the customer's location for a specified period. Some even offer extended try-before-you-buy periods, allowing customers to drive the car for a week before deciding. One of the biggest frustrations of the traditional dealership model is the dreaded negotiation process. For years, consumers have been asking for a more transparent, haggle-free experience, and the direct-to-consumer model delivers just that. Ford, Toyota, and GM can set a single transparent price that's the same for everyone, regardless of location. This means no more wondering if you could have gotten a better deal elsewhere, and no more back and forth with salespeople. The dealership dilemma. The loss of dealership partnerships isn't just a business strategy, it's a seismic shift in the auto industry. For Ford, Toyota, and GM, this decision represents a clean break from a long-standing model, one that could leave thousands of dealerships across the globe scrambling to survive. For decades, these dealerships haven't just been in the business of selling cars, they've been building relationships. Local dealerships have maintained a customer-first mentality, knowing that buyers often come back for service, upgrades, and even their next car purchase. The sudden shift to a direct-to-consumer model is forcing these dealerships to rethink everything. Do they find a new brand to partner with? Do they pivot their business model entirely? Or do they risk closing their doors for good? Dealerships across the country are facing difficult decisions. For some, the answer might lie in adapting to a service-based model, focusing solely on maintenance, repairs, and aftermarket sales. Others may choose to partner with different automakers that still use traditional dealerships, or they might even explore entirely new revenue streams. For example, some dealerships could look into selling used vehicles exclusively or branching out into more specialized services like high-end customization, performance upgrades, or electric vehicle charging infrastructure. But for many dealerships, these pivots may not be enough to survive in a DTC-driven world dominated by three of the industry's biggest names. Of course, there's more than just financial fallout for dealerships. Many states have franchise laws that protect dealerships, requiring automakers to sell through franchisees rather than directly to consumers. These laws are already a hot topic due to Tesla's DTC model, and Ford, Toyota, and GM's decision could spark a wave of legal battles. Dealership associations and local lawmakers might push back, fighting to preserve a system that's deeply ingrained in many parts of the country. This move by the Big Three could trigger major legislative battles, with lawmakers having to weigh the interests of dealerships, consumers, and the automakers themselves. Potential ripple effects across the industry. With three of the biggest automakers embracing a direct-to-consumer model, other car companies are bound to feel the pressure. Automakers that still rely on dealerships might find themselves at a disadvantage, especially as younger generations become more accustomed to online shopping. If Ford, Toyota, and GM succeed in transforming the car buying process, other manufacturers may have little choice but to adapt to this new model to stay competitive. This could be the first step toward a complete restructuring of the auto industry, where even companies that once relied on dealership networks could be forced to follow the DTC route to keep up. In the wake of this shift, online car marketplaces like Carvana and Vroom might also be impacted. These companies have carved out a niche by offering online car buying experiences, meeting the needs of customers who want to skip the traditional dealership. But with Ford, Toyota, and GM entering the DTC market, third-party platforms might face intense competition from the very brands they sell. While some of these platforms could thrive by focusing on used cars or non-traditional vehicles, others might struggle to differentiate themselves in an industry where major brands are taking direct control of their online sales. This decision also opens doors for tech giants like Apple and Google, who have shown interest in the auto industry. These companies have the technological resources and expertise in e-commerce to enter the car market with DTC models of their own. If Ford, Toyota, and GM can successfully eliminate dealerships, it might embolden tech companies to finally make their long-anticipated entry into the automotive world. Imagine a future where you can buy a car directly from Apple or Google, adding yet another layer of competition to an already transforming industry of the future of car maintenance and repairs. With dealerships potentially out of the picture, Ford, Toyota, and GM might need to rethink their approach to car maintenance and repairs. The traditional dealership model includes on-site service centers where customers can get their vehicles serviced, but a DDC approach changes the dynamic. Instead, automakers could invest in centralized service hubs, potentially in larger cities or high-traffic areas, where customers could go for all their maintenance and repair needs. This approach would cut down on costs for automakers while providing a consistent, branded experience for customers. But for many customers, especially those in remote or rural areas, centralized service centers might not be practical. Ford, Toyota, and GM may need to expand mobile repair services to meet the needs of customers who are now more removed from physical dealerships. Picture a fleet of service vans stocked with the tools and parts needed for standard maintenance and minor repairs, traveling to customers' homes or workplaces. This approach would allow car owners to receive necessary maintenance without ever leaving their property, a convenience that could quickly become popular as companies shift to DTC model. Another potential development is the introduction of subscription-based maintenance plans. In a dealership-free world, automakers might offer customers a monthly or annual subscription that covers everything from oil changes to tire rotations, bundled in with the purchase of the car. For consumers, this would provide an added layer of convenience and predictability in budgeting. Ford, Toyota, and GM could use these maintenance subscriptions as an added revenue stream, strengthening customer loyalty while adapting to the new DTC landscape. Consumer reactions and market trends. The decision to ditch dealerships has sparked strong reactions from consumers. On one hand, many people are excited about the possibility of a more streamlined, transparent car buying process. No more haggling over prices, no more spending hours at the dealership. The DTC model offers a much simpler, faster experience. Younger buyers especially, who are used to buying everything online, may find this model particularly appealing. However, not everyone is thrilled. Some consumers worry about losing the personal touch and local connection that dealerships offer, as well as the immediate access to test drives and service appointments. As with many major shifts in consumer behavior, there's a generational component at play here. Younger generations, millennials and Gen Z, are accustomed to making large purchases online, from ordering home goods to buying electronics. For them, buying a car through a website may feel as natural as buying a new phone. Older generations, however, may be more hesitant. Baby boomers and Gen X, who are used to the traditional dealership experience, might feel uncomfortable with a fully online car buying model. This generational divide could pose a challenge for automakers, who will need to bridge the gap between traditional buyers and tech-savvy consumers. As this DTC trend gains momentum, the entire market may begin to shift. Automakers are already looking at ways to enhance the online car buying experience through virtual showrooms, augmented reality test drives, and even digital advisors that guide customers through the process. These features aren't just gimmicks, they're powerful tools that could redefine how we shop for cars. Ford, Toyota, and GM's decision to ditch dealerships could pave the way for other companies to adopt these technologies, creating a market where virtual car shopping becomes the norm. The broader economic impact. It's easy to see how this decision could create shockwaves beyond the auto industry. Dealerships aren't just places to buy cars, they're economic fixtures in communities across the country. Each dealership employs dozens, sometimes hundreds of workers, and for many small towns, the local dealership is one of the largest employers. By eliminating dealerships, automakers are essentially pulling the rug out from under countless local economies. The economic impact could be particularly severe in regions where dealerships are a significant part of the job market. The loss of these dealerships may mean job cuts not only for sales staff, but also for service technicians, finance managers, and administrative employees. Local governments also rely on the revenue generated by dealerships through taxes, sales, and community sponsorships. Dealerships often contribute to city taxes and fund local events, sports teams, and charities, embedding themselves deeply into the community fabric. With dealerships closing, local governments might face a shortfall in revenue, forcing them to rethink their budgets or seek alternative revenue sources. Some towns could even launch local campaigns to try and keep dealerships in place, hoping to preserve jobs and tax revenue. But whether they'll be successful is uncertain. This shift won't just eliminate jobs, it will reshape the job market. As automakers pivot to direct sales, there will likely be new demand for roles in digital sales, customer service, logistics, and virtual sales support. Many employees who were once part of dealership sales teams may need retraining to fill these new roles, transitioning from in-person sales to digital customer service or technical support. Automakers might even need to introduce retraining programs, offering former dealership employees a pathway to remain within the industry. Ford, Toyota, and GM could see this as an opportunity to invest in their workforce, offering training programs to adapt to a more tech-focused car buying experience. Industry-wide innovations and future possibilities. As Ford, Toyota, and GM embrace direct-to-consumer sales, they'll need to make the online buying experience as immersive as possible. That's where virtual showrooms come in. Imagine stepping into a digital showroom from your laptop or phone where you can explore every angle of the latest Ford F-150, Toyota Prius, or Chevrolet Silverado. With augmented reality, you could even see how a car would look parked in your driveway, giving you a realistic feel for the vehicle without ever leaving your home. These virtual showrooms could be equipped with interactive features, allowing buyers to customize colors, interiors, and features as if they were right in front of the car. Beyond virtual showrooms, there's also the possibility of virtual or augmented reality test drives. Picture putting on a VR headset and experiencing the sensation of driving a car through city streets, highways, or even off-road trails. This technology could bring the feel of a test drive into people's living rooms, eliminating the need for traditional dealership test drives. Ford, Toyota, and GM might partner with tech companies to develop these experiences, creating a seamless blend of automotive and digital innovation that makes buying a car online more engaging than ever. The DTC shift may also pave the way for new ownership models. Imagine being able to subscribe to a car rather than buying it outright. For a monthly fee, you could have access to the latest models, with the flexibility to swap vehicles as your needs change. This type of subscription-based model has already started to gain traction in some markets, and it could become much more common if automakers embrace direct sales. Ford, Toyota, and GM might offer tiered subscription packages, allowing customers to choose options that fit their lifestyle. Perhaps a compact car for everyday driving and an SUV for the weekends, all under one subscription. These changes could redefine the very concept of car ownership. Instead of buying one car and holding onto it for years, consumers could embrace a more flexible, adaptable model of ownership that meets their evolving needs. This shift could also make cars more accessible to a wider range of customers who want flexibility without the commitment of long-term ownership. Automakers would gain a steady revenue stream from subscriptions, while customers enjoy the freedom to change vehicles as their preferences shift over time. The environmental impact and sustainability initiatives. This shift to direct-to-consumer sales isn't just about cutting costs or modernizing the buying process, it's also an opportunity for automakers to reduce their carbon footprint. By eliminating dealerships, automakers can streamline the production to customer supply chain, reducing the number of vehicles that need to be transported and stored at dealership lots. Centralized distribution points and a direct approach to delivery could result in fewer emissions, helping companies like Ford, Toyota, and GM achieve their sustainability goals. With the auto industry moving towards electric vehicles, Ford, Toyota, and GM's decision to cut dealerships aligns with a broader focus on sustainability. This direct model could allow them to allocate resources more efficiently, putting more investment into EV research, charging infrastructure, and sustainable manufacturing practices. Direct sales can also help these companies gauge customer interest in EVs more accurately, providing insight into consumer trends and enabling them to respond quickly to shifts in demand. Automakers are increasingly under pressure to reduce their environmental impact, and this direct-to-consumer shift could support green initiatives. Imagine centralized distribution hubs with renewable energy sources, electric delivery vehicles, and environmentally friendly packaging for parts and accessories. By consolidating production and delivery, Ford, Toyota, and GM can set new standards for sustainable practices in the auto industry, transforming the supply chain into a model of green efficiency. The industry's reaction and competitive landscape. As Ford, Toyota, and GM embrace this bold new model, other automakers are watching closely. Brands that rely heavily on dealerships, think Honda, Nissan, and Jeep, are now faced with a choice: adapt or potentially fall behind. If Ford, Toyota, and GM find success with DTC sales, the pressure will be on for other manufacturers to follow. For traditional brands, this might be the start of a race to modernize their sales approach, pushing them to adopt more innovative, consumer-friendly practices. Luxury automakers like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi may face unique challenges. High-end car buyers often expect a more personalized, white-glove experience when purchasing a luxury vehicle, and traditional dealerships have often delivered this level of service. With the rise of DTC, luxury brands will need to find ways to offer a premium experience in a digital-first world. This might mean adding virtual concierge services, exclusive online showrooms, or even in-home consultations to cater to high-end clients who still want a personalized touch. In many ways, Ford, Toyota, and GM's decision could create a new standard for the industry. This move toward direct sales isn't just about automakers taking control, it's about setting a precedent for a more consumer-focused, tech-driven, and environmentally responsible industry. For companies that rely on dealerships, this could be a moment of reckoning, a signal that the traditional model may no longer be enough to attract and retain modern buyers. The success or failure of this model will likely shape the future of the auto industry, pushing it toward an era of unprecedented transformation. Consumer perspectives on a dealership-free world. With Ford, Toyota, and GM breaking new ground, the reactions from consumers are all over the map. For tech-savvy younger generations, the shift to a direct-to-consumer model is exciting. It's exactly what they've been waiting for. Many have grown up in a world where they can buy almost anything online, from homes to groceries. The idea of purchasing a car with just a few clicks, without ever stepping foot in a dealership, aligns perfectly with their expectations for convenience and transparency. However, not all consumers are thrilled. Many car buyers, particularly those who prefer in-person transactions, still see dealerships as a vital part of the car buying process. These are the people who want to talk to a salesperson face-to-face, go for a test drive, and feel the vehicle before making a purchase. They're concerned about losing the personalized touch and the ability to negotiate, two things dealerships have provided for years. One of the biggest concerns consumers have is how they'll test drive cars without dealerships. After all, driving a car is a sensory experience. It's one thing to look at a car online, but it's another to feel it on the road, listen to how it sounds, and experience the handling in real time. Ford, Toyota, and GM are aware of this issue and are expected to roll out new approaches, like home-delivered test drives or temporary try-before-you-buy programs. Consumers can expect to see more companies offering week-long test periods to let them get a feel for the vehicle on their own terms. One upside of the DTC model is that it promises a more transparent experience, which could build stronger consumer trust. Ford, Toyota, and GM can control pricing and offer a uniform price for each model, eliminating haggling and making the process more straightforward. While some consumers miss the chance to negotiate, others see this as a relief, a way to avoid high-pressure sales tactics and hidden fees. This level of transparency might encourage trust in an industry that has sometimes been criticized for its lack of pricing clarity. Regulatory and legal challenges ahead. One major hurdle standing between Ford, Toyota, GM, and a full DTC model is dealership protection laws. These laws vary by state, but they're generally designed to protect dealerships from automakers bypassing them. States like Texas, New Jersey, and Michigan have historically been strict about prohibiting DTC sales, citing consumer protection and local economic impact as key reasons for these restrictions. If Ford, Toyota, and GM push forward with DTC, they'll likely face intense legal battles in several states. Dealership associations are expected to lobby against these moves, arguing that dealerships provide vital services and employment for communities. For some states, this shift may spark a legislative debate on whether existing laws are outdated in a digital-first world or whether they still serve a purpose in protecting consumer rights and local economies. If lobbying and legislation aren't enough to stop DTC sales, we may see legal action in the courts. Dealership associations could argue that direct sales from manufacturers violate franchise agreements or unfairly disrupt an industry built around the dealership model. Ford, Toyota, and GM would need a solid legal strategy to navigate this landscape, potentially facing years of litigation before the DTC model could be widely implemented. However, these companies are no strangers to legal battles, and if DTC is the future, they're likely prepared for the fight. In states where legal challenges threaten to slow the DTC transition, Ford, Toyota, and GM might consider hybrid approaches. This could involve partnering partnerships with independent dealers who serve more as delivery and service centers rather than traditional sales locations. Such a compromise would retain dealership support while adapting to consumer preferences for online buying. This hybrid model could offer the best of both worlds: online purchasing with local support and expertise. The future of the automotive landscape. If Ford, Toyota, and GM succeed with their DTC sales model, the entire automotive landscape could be on the brink of a revolution. Other automakers will be watching closely. If this new model proves successful, traditional dealership-heavy brands like Honda, Jeep, and even luxury players like BMW and Audi might be compelled to follow suit. This shift could lead to a reimagined auto industry where dealerships no longer dominate the car buying process, but instead, consumers navigate digital showrooms with brands that place control directly in their hands. Some brands may embrace the DTC trend, while others may continue to value the traditional dealership experience. Luxury brands in particular may decide to preserve the hands-on approach of a dealership, as many high-end buyers value the personalized experience that dealerships can provide. However, even these brands may need to modernize their approach to stay relevant. Expect to see more manufacturers experimenting with different models, from fully DTC to hybrid systems that keep dealerships as part of the process. One of the most intriguing possibilities is the impact on car prices. By going direct, automakers can streamline costs, which could theoretically lead to lower prices. However, whether these savings will be passed on to consumers remains to be seen. If the DTC model gains traction, car prices could become more transparent and competitive, potentially reshaping the market for buyers looking for straightforward, fair pricing. What's next for consumers? For consumers, a dealership-free future could mean a more personalized car buying experience. Imagine having the option to customize a car entirely online, from color choices to interior materials, with instant visual previews that let you see your choices come to life. With no middlemen, Ford, Toyota, and GM could allow for more unique customization options, helping consumers find models that are tailored to their tastes without added dealership costs. DTC sales also open up accessibility for a broader demographic of buyers. In areas with limited dealership presence, buying a car may be challenging, especially for those who don't live near major metropolitan centers. A robust DTC system with online access and at-home delivery options could make car buying a far more accessible process for people who otherwise would have had limited options. Ford, Toyota, and GM could tap into markets previously underserved by the dealership network, reaching new customers who are eager for a simpler buying experience. Reflecting on the change. Only time will tell how the auto industry will respond to this radical change. Dealerships are likely to continue pushing back, legal battles will play out in various states, and consumers will adapt to the new normal at their own pace. For the big three automakers, this shift to DTC could be the beginning of a new era, or the start of a long road filled with obstacles. But one thing is clear: Ford, Toyota, and GM have set their sights on a new future, and they're taking bold steps to get there. Will dealerships survive? The question that remains is whether dealerships will survive this disruption. Some may pivot, evolving into specialized service centers or partnering with different brands. Others may struggle to find their place in an industry that's rapidly digitizing. The survival of dealerships depends on how adaptable they are and whether they can find a new role in the changing automotive landscape. But one thing is certain: the auto industry we once knew is evolving, and as consumers, we're witnessing the dawn of a new chapter in how we buy, own, and experience cars.